podcast. As Hunter said last week, this is the only podcast.
Yes. The only podcast.
It's just me and Anna today, and today we're going to talk about marriage. But before we do, we need to talk about how funny I am. I just made a joke, and the camera crew laughed. And what we're going to do is on Wednesday during Bible study, I'm going to tell a joke. And if nobody laughs, I won't tell another joke for a month.
It's not going to happen.
Church members could watch this early, and still it's going to happen. So I stole this from Facebook. You ready? Taylor will like this. I got fired from the bank last week. A woman came in and asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her. See? Right there. I mean, I'm one for one already.
See, Dalton's just shaking his head.
Lowell laughed.
Like,
Taylor's heard it twice and she's laughing, and then Nick's trying to deny it.
I think she's trying
Nick's
not
pretending
to
be
laugh.
busy with the camera when he's really just trying not to laugh. See, he just laughed again. All right, we got to talk about marriage. What is it? What's a biblical definition? What is not marriage? What's the Bible say about divorce and all that stuff? But before we talk about marriage, I believe Anna has a hot take for us.
I have a hot take. So we just celebrated Thanksgiving.
Man, this is so much better without Hunter.
It is.
Just kidding.
We should
All
just
right,
do
go
two
ahead.
of us. So we love you, Hunter. We miss you.
No, we don't.
So Thanksgiving was Thursday at the time of filming this a few days ago. I have a hot take that sweet potato casserole is a dessert and not a side.
That's not a hot take. That's a fact.
No, because I've had people
That's a
fight
fact.
me. Mike Burkett, he fought me.
You
at
can hold a
Friendsgiving.
camera and shake your head all you want. What are you talking about?
So you
Sweet
thinking
potato casserole
Sweet potato casserole
is a dessert.
side for you.
It's an awesome dessert.
For Dalton, it's a side. Nick, do you have?
He doesn't have an
do you care-
opinion.
Lowell.
Chattanooga.
Okay, with the.
So if you do the brown sugar marshmallow stuff,
Okay,
Okay.
what about the crumble topping with like the pecans and everything like your wife made? She made that at Friendsgiving.
she
she
had
put bacon on
pecans and
top.
bacon. This makes it
So,
tough.
but that is, I was like, is
Yeah,
that
it
a
was really
side?
good. This makes it tough.
Taylor, side.
Oh man, I still think it's a dessert.
I think it's a dessert too.
All right, well this kind of plays into our game later. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
When I'm going to roast you. And unlike Hunter, I'm not going to create a game and then lose at it because he definitely lost last week's game. By the way, every single person that's part of the podcast, all 8, so 7 of the 8 people agreed that Hunter lost the game last week.
Yes, he did.
And he's the only person that says he didn't.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I definitely think it's a I shouldn't say definitely. I think it's a dessert, but I do think there's some gray area there. I'll be honest. There's some gray area.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Anna,
Yes.
definition of marriage. Take your first stab at it.
When I think of marriage, a biblical marriage, I think of two people making a covenant with God, and that's marriage.
Right. And I think that God, since he's the creator of marriage, gets to define the parameters of it.
Yes.
So, we're not going to do the whole we're not necessarily going to jump into homosexuality again. We did that back on previous episodes. But I don't think most people are aware that the Bible is the originator of marriage. Governments decided that was good for their society to promote that because it made stable families. But the originator of marriage is God. He's the creator of it, so he gets to decide the parameters of it. It's kind of like, what's her name? J.K. Rowling gets to decide the characters of Harry Potter. She is the creator of it.
Yeah.
God is the creator of marriage. He gets to decide what it is. And I would agree with Anna. It is a covenant with two people,
Man and a woman.
a man and a woman, one man, one woman, the two making a covenant before God. That would be a marriage. And whenever we talk about what's your view of marriage, what's the biblical view of marriage, I always tell people I never want to have a view different than Jesus. I never want to have a view different than Jesus. So I just want to read for y'all Jesus' view of marriage. This is Matthew chapter 19. I'll start in verse 3. And the Pharisees came up. Hold on, I'm getting a call here. I'm going to shut that up. And the Pharisees came up to test him by asking, is it lawful to divorce one's wife for any cause? Now, we'll get into divorce in a minute. But the Pharisees are asking, is it lawful to divorce one's wife? Now, if you aren't familiar with this, they're asking this as a trap. because they have followed a set of beliefs that said a man could divorce a woman for any cause he wanted. And Jesus knows that's what they're getting at. So Jesus says, have you not read that he created them from the beginning, made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast unto his wife, and the two will become one flesh. He's quoting from Genesis. So Jesus' view of marriage is that which was always from the beginning, from the book of Genesis. By the way, that should tell us Jesus' view of Genesis and the rest of the Bible. One man, one woman, the two becoming one flesh. That is, leaving the authority of his father. A man shall leave his father and mother, make a new household, cleave unto his wife, the two will become one flesh. So that's Jesus' view of marriage. It's pretty straightforward. That means that anything that is not that cannot be called marriage, at least in the biblical sense of it. So when we talk about what is marriage, I just wanted to show that because I think a lot of people think that we have the right to decide what that is, when in fact Jesus, God, already declared what marriage is a long time before you and I ever existed. Right. So if that's what marriage is, Miss Anna, what would marriage not be? Polygamy, because what does it say? The two will become one flesh. Yes. That one verse gets rid of a lot of ideas. Yes.
Same-sex marriages. But
right.
Obviously we talked about, that previously. But
we did, and it's just another case of
what it's not.
It's not that I don't recognize that's not marriage. Like, there's really, in one sense, and this is not an insult, it's just a fact, there's no such thing as same-sex marriage.
Right.
Because that's not marriage. It doesn't exist. Right. You would almost have to put it in quotations every time you use it because it doesn't exist. It's just not a thing.
Within the government, the American government,
of course,
there is.
And if you believe that is the definer of marriage, then there is such a thing as same-sex marriage. Right. But if you believe that God gets to define that,
then that's not it.
Then there isn't.
Honey, that ain't
it. And I think the local church is important here. Nothing could be confirmed without the testimony of 2 to 3 witnesses. But that's, by the way, why we still have witnesses at our weddings now. Therefore, the next topic, which is, Anna, kind of what you wanted to get into, what are the biblical allowances for divorce? So what do we have? What are some that we know of?
Sexual immorality.
What Jesus says in this chapter, sexual immorality would be one. The only other one we can think of, is that my fault? Okay. The only other one that sometimes is used is the idea of an abandonment of the covenant from 1 Corinthians 8. Long story short, there are only 1 or 2 exceptions that allow for divorce. So true biblical Christians only have a disagreement about the number 1 or 2. That's it. That's why Christians should care a lot about divorce, because there's only a couple of allowances for it. We talk about what marriage is, what it's not. There's only a couple exceptions for divorce. When the Pharisees are asking Jesus this question, it's because in the book of Deuteronomy, God talks about if a man divorces a woman, he must write her a certificate, which is a way for her not to be punished, a way for her not to have judgment brought upon her. They took that as a man can divorce a woman for any reason whatsoever, which is not what Jesus says. Jesus says, no, you go back from the beginning. That's not what it was ever intended to be. So, with that being said, what if, Anna, we come across somebody who is unequally yoked, as we say, who is married to an unbeliever? How should they handle that now?
If the believer is wanting a divorce from the unbeliever?
Right.
You got yourself into this and you made a covenant, whether it was to that person, if they're not a believer, you made a covenant with God. And to me, well, granted, this is my opinion. If you make a covenant to God, whether that other person is a believer or not, you made that promise and you need to uphold your end of the deal. If it's not within in the parameters of, the few reasons of divorce. Like that example that I gave you before the podcast started of that one woman, she was a believer and she's like, well, my husband and I, we grew apart. We just don't have anything in common. I'm like, okay, we'll get over it. Find a new hobby.
That's not a biblical reason
right. It's
for
like
divorce.
find a new hobby to, do together. It's like, that's ridiculous. It's like, are you a child and just, you just want to get out of something because it's difficult and it's just not fun anymore?
I could think of several ways someone can find themselves in that scenario where they're married to an unbeliever. One, they both were unbelievers when they got married, and now one of them has become a believer since then. So now what do?
Right.
Now so think about that scenario, and maybe some of you listening have been in that scenario before. You were both unbelievers when you got married, and you were converted, you were saved in the middle of that marriage. Now, by biblical standard, you are unequally yoked. At the same time, is that really a qualification for divorce because you entered into that covenant? The other side of the argument would be, but you didn't enter in that covenant with God.
Right.
Another way that you could find yourself in that scenario is you sinned, knowingly married an unbeliever, and now are convicted about it. And maybe finally, you thought the person you married was a Christian when they in fact are not, or later revealed that they were not.
So, like missionary dating.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so-called
missionary dating.
That's
where
another
you
one
date
of those that has to be
somebody
in
to try to
parentheses.
convert them. Okay. So, what about like missionary marriages?
The problem with that is, again, as you have already said, and we already said, since marriage is a covenant between two people and God, that shouldn't be a thing, because if it's a covenant with two people and God, they're most submitted to God. There shouldn't be such a thing as missionary marriages.
But there are.
There are, because of one of the three scenarios we just said.
Right.
And I would argue that if someone converts in the middle of their marriage, that their first instinct should not be to divorce their unbelieving spouse. I don't think that should be their first instinct.
Right.
There is a chapter of the Bible dedicated to what a woman does if she's married to an unbelieving husband.
Is that in Ephesians?
It's 1 Peter chapter 3.
1 Peter.
And nowhere in that section does it say divorce him.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere. Now, again, Peter does not specify how she got herself into that scenario.
Right.
Could be that she sinned. Could be that she became a believer halfway through. Could be that she thought he was a believer and is not. Peter doesn't specify. In none of those cases does he say, so your first thing should be divorce him.
Mm-hmm.
It says, win him over with submission, servitude, kindness,
Be an example.
tender-heartedness.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it says.
Yeah.
Just a quick side note. That example of the reverse is not mentioned in the Bible. There is not a long teaching in the Bible about what happens when a man is married to an unbelieving woman.
Right.
And I think there is a reason for that. I think that typically we see in the Bible when a man repents before God, the family soon follows after.
Right.
So I think that would be why you don't see that in the Bible. I mean, we do see that where a man repents and the family soon follows. Cornelius, the Gentile convert, I think we see that time and time again. So when we go back to what do we do in those scenarios, I don't think the first reaction should be divorce. I think the first reaction should be what you were getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a very difficult thing to be in. But I want to share a story.
Okay.
This goes back to the divorce thing and how there's really only a couple biblical reasons for divorce. Sexual immorality and abandonment of the covenant, and that could be defined a few ways. Physical abuse, that kind of thing. There's a man who I am in a class with. We're doing some counseling training as the pastors here at Whitman. And this man's wife left him 18 years ago, but never remarried somebody else. So in his mind and his conscience, they are still married, even though she left him 18 years ago and moved to another state. So he has never remarried because he said, I made my vows before God, and until she remarries, I have no right to marry another.
Because that wouldn't be considered adultery.
In his,
Correct.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Let me tell you something. That's a man right there. Yeah. That is a honorable man.
For sure. Because you don't, and especially with men, like with with our culture, men are more likely to get remarried after divorce or after being widowed or whatever, and vice versa.
Sure.
But yeah, that's impressive to me that
honorable.
I've never heard of anybody
It's very
doing
honorable.
in today's age.
And he shared that with the entire class that he barely knew because he wanted it to be an example for other people, which
That's
I thought was
awesome.
really cool. So again, marriage, if it's a covenant between one party, another party, with God as the mediator, God as the arbiter, God as the making sure that both people keep up their side of the vow, their side of the covenant. If that's what it is, and he decided that it's one man, one woman, then who are we to say anything different? And it's funny. I hear people all the time say things like, yeah, but other godly people in the Bible didn't follow that example. Right, because
they're still sinners.
Because they're still sinners just like me and you.
We still sin.
By the way, just a side note, this is a little random ADD thing for you people. That little glass...
It needs a rose in it.
No, that little glass ball thing right there. Every time I see that, this thing, I think of, was it PlayStation 1, Spider-Man game, you could only pan left to right. Maybe it was Nintendo then, because there was no, 3D version of it.
Oh, it's probably...
The Spider-Man game, you could be Venom or Spider-Man, and you had to fight Mysterio, and they made his glass little space ball there like that. Every time I see that, I think of Mysterio.
I always think of Beauty and the Beast, where the rose...
He's a villain. Spider-Man's villain. He was in one of the new movies. He just wasn't a great villain in the new movies, but...
It's like,
sure.
Today's movies, they all suck.
No.
Yeah, they are. They're all remakes.
That's okay.
No, they're not.
When you say today, how far back are we talking?
Like 2020. Like the last couple of
Okay,
years with movies.
all right,
like,
Anna.
we need movies.
Anna, come on.
Anyway, let's get back to the marriage
this
topic.
is important, but okay. We'll get back to that. So, okay. Anna, with that being said, what advice specifically... In fact, let me just read the 1 Peter passage, and then, Anna, I want you to expound on it and give advice to anyone who may be listening right now who is married to an unbeliever. This is 1 Peter chapter 3, and this is about a woman who is married to a unbelieving husband. Likewise, wives, now this is all wives at this part. Likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some of them do not obey the word, they may be won over without a word by the conduct of their wives.
Yes.
When they see your respectful and pure conduct, do not let your adorning be external and braiding of hair and putting on gold jewelry or clothing you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is in God's sight very precious. This is how the holy women who hoped in God used to adorn themselves by submitting to their own husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. And you are her children if you do good and do not fear anything that is frightening. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers are not hindered. Just a quick note to the men, I'll let Anna get to the women. Gentlemen, did you catch that? Husbands, live to your wives in an understanding way and honor them as the weaker vessels, so that your prayers will not be hindered. God does not heed or hear the prayers of men
Who don't honor their wives.
who do not honor their wives.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that before. Mainly because
I
pay attention
have,
to
'cause
what
it's
like
terrifying.
the wives. Well, that's your perspective, but it's like it's me for a woman. I've only really paid attention to the female instructions.
So you do a woman married to a
non-believer
man, and then I'll do a believing man married to an unbelieving woman.
Okay, so I actually know a woman within our church who was married to a non-believer
me too.
for like 20 plus years. She did exactly what Scripture called her to do. She prayed for him. She continued to go to church with her and her children every single Sunday, every single Wednesday, and she was an example to him. And that's what in Peter it's telling us to do as women, is to be an example to your husband, not to chastise him, not to criticize him, not to be like, well, you never come to church with us and blah blah blah. Like, no, you need to be an example, not by your speech but by your actions. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And So I think exactly what Scripture says, you need to do that, because especially with our generation and with today's culture, women don't take crap. It's just like their husbands, the husbands, and like any movie that you watch, any show that you watch, anything that you listen to, whatever.
He's an idiot.
He's always an idiot.
He's an idiot.
He's completely stupid. He's weak. He's just an idiot.
He's the comic relief. That's all he
Yes.
is.
And it's like, I wouldn't want to be married to somebody like that. And I'm not married to somebody like that. And it's just like, man, I really hate how they make all of these dads and husbands look. And I will tell you, the one show out of these last like
I wanna
handful
guess
of
it.
years that got it right on this
I wanna
dad.
guess it.
Okay.
Animated or not?
No, not
American or not?
American. It's like 20 questions. But they did such a good job with this character of making him look like a strong husband and dad.
You better not say Breaking Bad.
No.
Okay.
No, I
All
love
right.
that show.
All right. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Walt loved him at
let-
the beginning, hated him at the end.
Oh,
Come for me in the comments on that one.
Yeah, I will in a little while. But okay, hold on. I want to guess this. Give me the genre.
Drama.
That's
I think
such a
you and
weak-
your I think you
yeah,
and your wife have watched this show. I don't know if you finished the show, but I think you've watched it.
Oh, 1883.
Do you give up?
I'll call a friend.
Anybody?
None of the nerds
Nobody?
know. All right, go.
This Is Us.
I never
With-
watched that one.
You didn't?
I think that's the one that every time my wife watched it, she cried. I'm like, why are you watching this crap? Is that what? Yeah. Okay.
I saw really quick. I saw a meme, and it's just like, it was this girl, and she was postpartum after having her baby, and she's watching This Is Us. I'm like, that's the worst time to watch This Is
Oh
Us.
my
You're
goodness.
flipping right. But anyway, with This Is Us, and my husband and I have talked about this. I said, if I wasn't married, like, granted, this guy, they're not Christians or anything, but it's like the way that he is a husband to his wife and the way that he is a father to his children, like with this day and age on TV, he is just such a good example. He fight for his kids. He respects his wife. His wife calls him out in private, and he ended up, he was an alcoholic, whatever. And she goes, I don't care what you do, but you're going to be a man and you're going to fix this. And he did. And he fixed it. I don't know. I love that. That's like one of my favorite shows. But with that being said, going back to all of that, a lot of the time with these TV shows, they just make these dads look like complete
Without
idiots.
a doubt.
And like you said, the comedic relief. And so with this, with Scripture, it shows us as women, we have to be example just by our actions, and we don't need to criticize, or because that just turns the guy off to even coming to church. It's like, well, you're a hypocrite.
Without a doubt.
And it gives them a bad taste in their mouth.
Before I talk about the men who may be married to an unbelieving wife, a quick side note about that. This is going to offend some of you, so just get ready. I'm my own man. I can do whatever I want. Or I am a strong, independent woman. There are... I've heard that so many times.
Right.
Let's read Jesus' words one more time. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, cleave unto his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Let's count. The two will become, ready, Nick? One flesh. There is no such thing as a independent married person. Let me say that again.
I need my husband. I don't know about you. Do you need your wife?
Yes.
Yes.
If unless you want to disagree with Jesus, two, one flesh. There is no such thing as an independent married human being on planet Earth.
Right.
Doesn't exist.
Your team.
Yeah.
Act like a team.
So quit saying things like, I'm my own man, I can do whatever I want, or I'm a strong, independent woman if you are married. Next step. You're not allowed to say either of those if you are a Christian, married or not. Because the Bible says you are all one in Christ Jesus. The Bible says you are in one body, one baptism, one spirit. Again, the opposite of independent.
It's all about being a part of a team.
That's right.
You know.
There is no such thing as an independent Christian or an independent married person.
Right.
There's no biblical exception to that. You can try, you're wrong. A man who's married to an unbelieving wife. I would say what I say earlier. God rewards the obedience of a head of a household. As an example, the rest, I believe, will follow. There is an example that I had the privilege of seeing in our church of this exact scenario. and married Mary to an unbelieving wife. And he came to me for counsel, and I told him, you submit and obey the word, and see if your wife and your children will not follow. And it was not, but a couple months later, she came to the Lord.
That's awesome.
God honors the obedience. Guys, entire nations benefited and were faced consequences based on the obedience of kings. That still happens today, by the way. Federal headship. Well, the federal head of a family, much smaller level, is the father, is the husband, is the man of the house. And the same thing happens. God blesses or curses that unit based on the leadership of the federal head of the family. And we could go into federal headship. It's really cool. Adam's the federal head of all humanity. Jesus is the federal head of his church.
That's crazy.
I'm
just saying, I'm glad I'm a wife and not a husband. And my husband have had.
Oh, it's terrifying.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, you have all of that weight on your shoulders. I'm just glad.
It's terrifying. Yeah, let me tell you something. It's not hard for somebody who doesn't care, but for a child of God who wants to obey the word, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's an awesome responsibility. But there's blessing in it as well. And, the Bible talks about in Proverbs 12, an excellent wife is the crown of her husband. The crown of her husband. The one that is shown off, a symbol of his authority, and one who proudly symbolizes his authority, but also is adorned, is praised. Okay, that would be my advice to a man married to an unbelieving woman. Submit yourself to the word of God, pray, and see if she does not follow soon. All right, anything else about marriage, Anna?
I would just say, kind of going on what I referenced earlier about you and your spouse are on the same team.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I've talked to my husband about. We've had differing opinions on certain things. And there was one thing with our new baby. And I'm like, okay, we both have certain things that we want to do, certain opinions, whatever they are. They are both in the baby's best interest. We are not competing against each other. We both want what's best. We're on the same team.
Right.
Where can we compromise here?
Right.
And a lot of the times it's kind of like what you said earlier about, like, I'm the independent woman, like I don't need no man and stuff. It's like, I need my husband. I call him all the stuff. I'm like, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I can't fix this. Can you help me fix this? I'm like completely useless. But I rely on him for certain things because I trust that he can do that. But I see a lot of spouses, especially within the church, fighting against each other, whether it's through budgeting. Like, finances are a big issue within marriages. And so that's one area that I see that it's really prevalent. But it's like, you guys both want certain things. It's like, why can't you just, let's talk about it. Why do you want those things? Why does he want those things? Okay, let's come to an agreement. And I feel like a lot of couples now, especially within the church, they don't want to compromise because they want to be, I want to be right. And it's just like,
right. It's just
okay,
pride talking.
But yeah, it's like, but you guys are on the same team. Let's do it together.
A wife should be the husband's main counselor, main advice giver, and a husband should seek out that advice above anyone else's in decision making and the way of thinking. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
All right, Miss Taylor. We invite you to the set.
Do we have a mic for her?
It's time. Oh, I got a mic for it. It's time for the game.
I have no idea what this game's going to be.
Yeah, well, I changed it in the middle of us talking.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Well, you gotta turn on the mic there, Taylor. Come on, you can do it. We believe in you.
And she's on our tech team, you guys.
Well, talk in it.
Hello?
Yeah.
I can't hear.
I can't either.
So they're not going to be able to pick her up.
They're not gonna be able to hear her. I'll pass
Give
her
her the
the
mic.
I can pass her the mic unless Nick wants to come try to do it. I can just pass her the mic. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. And I changed this. We have the best tech team ever. I mean, can you
How are
believe
we
this?
doing now?
A round
I can
of
hear you
applause.
great. Yay! I hear you. Yay! All right. I changed it halfway through. Here's what we're gonna do. I had a debate at work about a year and a half ago on this topic, and I called. This is when I was working at Evergreen. I
think I was
called
here for this.
probably everyone in this room, but we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again
Oh, I remember.
because it comes up
I got
every
I got
holiday
the call.
season. Now listen.
I got the call.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say the question, and then the natural clarifying question will come up. Here's the question. You get one the rest of your life. Cake or pie? There is a correct answer, and we'll go over that in a minute. Cake or pie, speak.
This is difficult because I don't like either. Like, I detest both.
Oh, now you
And this
break
is
her.
why, hey, Dalton, will you
She's the
come take
common
that?
denominator.
Okay. Okay.
It's like, well, I'm glad we picked her for this.
Then pick the least.
I would go
God.
with pie probably. Out of the two of them, I would probably go with
Why
pie.
would you go with pie?
No one's asked the clarifying question
I guess
yet.
because you can have like fruit, like different variables in it, like fruit. You can have a meat pie. You can have savory
Meat
pies.
pies, glorious meat
You can.
pies.
I can have savory
Anybody?
pies for life.
Sweeney Todd.
Yes, thank you. Okay. We watched that recently.
All right, go Anna. I'm about to ruin y'all's world in a minute. You got to think deeply about this one.
Oh, what about cheesecake?
There it is. There is the question.
This is the
Cheesecake.
call. I got
All right,
the call
listen,
at work. Are
let
you
me
busy?
explain something. I had this nerd friend I worked with who's related to someone sitting to my right. And this is what he said. I called him. It was his off day. I didn't care. This was important. And I called him. Now he's a nerd.
Different
And when I
definitions of
when I
important.
say a nerd, I mean every 5 seconds of conversation, he pushes his glasses up when they're not down. Like again, that's the
I-
level of nerd
that's-
we're talking.
I
Like,
know.
literally, like, okay.
I do that.
And
when
this
I'm
is
not
what he
wearing my
said.
glasses. I'm like,
I called him. He said, hello. And I said, bro, cheesecake or pie? That's all I said. He did this. Tell me where you placed cheesecake. Because that is the section I want to be in. I don't care about your other arguments about brownies and pizza, because I'm sure those were involved, which they are about to be, by the way. Where is the cheesecake? And you may put my vote there. Click. Now, let me explain. The bet was because the guy from Chattanooga, which shows his intelligence level, the guy from Chattanooga that was there said cake would win overwhelmingly. Well, there were 40 people working there, and
they
I
called
said
outside people.
pie would win overwhelmingly. And if I lost, I had to bake a pie for everyone. And if he lost, a cake. And if he lost, he had to bake pies for everyone. Everyone understand? So this was important. By the way, the vote ended up being, I'm not kidding, 21-19.
Oh wow,
It was
that's
close.
close.
divided.
Okay, now Taylor answered too quickly because we got to deal with the cheesecake thing. So
Can I say one thing about cheesecake?
yeah,
The said person that's related to me that loves cheesecake, for Thanksgiving, he special ordered 2 cheesecakes shipped in from New York.
That
Yeah.
doesn't surprise
Okay.
me. He ordered.
Alright.
No, didn't
Okay.
he ordered like subs for your dad from New
So-
York or something
Yes.
last year? Yeah, he
Yes.
doesn't surprise me.
let's go ahead and I'm gonna argue that cheesecake is in the pie section. And before all of you people,
Interesting.
all of you
It's
ignorant souls, is that too harsh to say on a podcast?
I was ignorant.
It's true.
Yeah.
Souls.
Truth is truth.
In the comment section, say the name cake is in it. Okay, let me just go ahead and dispel that. Grape nuts are not grape or nuts. The Affordable Care Act doesn't mean they care. The Patriot Act wasn't patriotic. Just because it's in the name does not mean that it is that thing. Koala bears are not bears. I can go on. I have so many of these built up for arguments. Just because it's in the name doesn't mean it's that thing. Now,
I agree.
cheesecake
Yeah.
is clearly
A pie.
a pie
It is
based on
pie.
the crust
Yes.
and filling combo. Non-layered, non-spongy, non-caked.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
agree with
Agree?
that.
I was
Yeah.
going to go on the pie
Dalton.
side of things.
Cheesecake is a cake or a pie?
Pie.
Lowell? Thank you. Nick? Pie. Thank
be
you.
determined.
All right. Now, with that being said, now that cheesecake is in the pie category, what does cake have left? I am even willing to give them brownies. I know that's a tough one. I know
Yeah,
it's a
that's
tough one to
not-
lose.
not-
I know it's a tough one to lose.
Brownies.
I'll give them brownies because sometimes they make those brownies that are kind of fluffy, you know?
Mhm.
I'll give them
Those are my
brownies. They can't have cookies, that's separate. We can't get ice cream. That's separate. With that being said, I think now there's really no way cake could ever win.
Because I'm thinking I like more pies. Like I look forward to pecan pie. Oh, and then like if
Oh.
you put
Oh, and
hot pie
don't
and
let
then
me
cold
don't
ice
let me
cream
go
on
ahead and
top.
point out that cobblers are obviously in the pie category.
Yeah.
Don't let
Okay,
me
I
even
was
get
going
to-
to ask
don't
you
even
about
let
that.
me get
I
there.
didn't like
that was
cobblers.
one of my
And if you give me
variations.
pizza, it's over. But I'll leave out the pizza for now because we're talking purely dessert. Even though CC's used to have those dessert pizzas in the middle.
Oh,
Does
I
everyone remember
miss
those? Yes.
Those were so good.
They were never good.
I love them.
Wow, that's the most
good.
incorrect thing you said today. But we're gonna keep on
CC's is
scooting
not
from there.
good.
So, pie or cake? Go.
Oh, pie.
Pie.
Dalton, pie or cake?
Pie.
Lowell?
Based
Pie.
on these terms,
Nick?
pie.
Okay.
Pie.
Everyone says
All
pie.
our room.
If we were gonna make a good argument for cake, what would it be?
Carrot cake.
Oof.
That's my favorite. I couldn't. I don't. And chocolate.
By the
on
way,
top
can
of
we take care of a misnomer here? I saw something really stupid on Facebook the other day. It had a pan where it made it where all the brownies were corner pieces, which are obviously the worst pieces. The
Yes,
middle
the
pieces
middle,
are the
Say
best.
it's the middle
center.
part.
I'm sorry, Lowell, do you have an opinion?
The edges
All right,
are
this is
pretty-
called point taken. Your point is not taken. The
Pretty
corners,
delightful.
the corners are no, the middle with a glass of whole milk. With
Oh.
and the chocolate chips inside the brownies.
Do you get the Ghirardelli ones from
Oh,
Costco?
the Ghirardelli
Yes.
ones are really
Yes.
good.
Oh, but we ended up.
I
making
do
All right.
like German chocolate cakes.
Last
Those are
one.
pretty good.
Last one. Let's go ahead and dispense. Here's what we're going to do. Get rid of a couple Thanksgiving foods forever. Forget tradition. Let's get rid of them forever
Okay.
and
me
never
first.
let them enter into the Thanksgiving feast again.
Me
Some
first. Me
people-
first. Me first.
Go.
Green bean casserole.
Thank you so much for saying that.
You're welcome.
I'm
Agree?
gonna get a lot of. Oh, I agree with that absolutely.
All right.
It's never been good. I've tried it every
All
year.
right,
It's
we're
just
doing
gross.
good so far, guys. Go ahead.
I feel like
Don't
a
screw this
lot
up.
of people are gonna disagree with me on
If
this
you
one.
say
Just let her.
I do not like turkey at Thanksgiving.
why,
I've had it. So many people do not
Okay.
cook it correctly.
Okay. Okay.
why?
Okay.
No.
What about fried turkey? Have
I've
you
ne-
ever had a
I'll
deep
be
fried
honest.
turkey?
I'll be honest. I've never had a deep fried turkey, but
Okay.
I've never had turkey it's always dry.
There. Okay.
No,
listen,
no.
no,
Were
hold
you
up,
here? Were
hold
you
up.
here Thursday
No,
at the
it's not
church?
here. No.
Okay.
Okay, so my brother made a deep fried turkey
Uh-huh.
this year and last year, and it was the juiciest, most flavorful turkey ever. I'm not a turkey fan. I love his turkey. I look forward to that. But otherwise,
Okay.
I'm a ham person.
But yeah, every year,
I do
even when
ham.
my
Ham's
father cooking the
good.
turkey, I'm like, I'm not a turkey fan.
Your dad does turkey and you don't like it?
Yeah, I always go for ham.
Dude, if he can't
That's
cook
what
it,
I'm
yeah.
saying. I'm like, I'm
All right.
pretty bad. Tim must make a dry turkey.
I don't know.
Now, just hear me out for a minute. The most overrated Thanksgiving thing is without a doubt dressing. And if you call it stuffing, you're just calling it a different word. It tastes the same. Okay?
Yeah, it was like nostalgia. My mom makes
I love
Dressing.
dressing.
How do you
but
love dressing
cornbread dressing.
and you don't like
Cornbread.
turkey?
cornbread dressing?
My mom
But my
makes
dad does
cornbread
Italian
dressing.
sausage into the dressing instead
Your
of
dad
turkey.
gets really extra with all of his stuff.
Everyone's good with keeping the cranberry
So-
stuff?
No, I don't like cranberry sauce.
Why?
Cranberry sauce
Useless.
is nasty.
Hold on, whoa. Hold on. No. I love the cranberry stuff.
Never
You
used
don't?
cranberry sauce.
No.
You?
I don't
You?
like.
Josiah,
Oh, hold on,
cranberry
I'm
sauce
alone.
is just as bad as your jokes.
I'm alone.
I don't like.
What'd you just say?
how
though?
it-
What'd you
okay.
just say? No.
You heard me.
But you laughed at my joke, banker.
No, I did not.
Yes, you
I
did.
said,
You laughed at my joke.
Okay, what I don't like about cranberry. Do you like
Coming
the
back
ones
to
in the
that.
can, and like you slice it,
I like
or
all
do you
of
like
them.
the crushed?
I like all of them.
See, the can.
the homemade one
the
is
can
worse.
bothers me, and I was asking my mom because she turned the can upside down,
Guys,
and I said, "Why are you doing it from the bottom?" And she's like, "Oh, because if you flip it on top, it's like done a
guys,
certain way. I
listen,
just can't do it.
listen.
It's pointless." My
Mm-mm.
sister-in-law, and my
All
mom
right.
would argue with
Do
me.
you
all day
like
long, but
cranberry juice?
No, I don't drink cranberry. I don't drink juice.
Yes, but I like the only
I'll just-
cran
I'll just
mango.
drink
You don't drink. Oh, stop.
Yeah.
You don't drink juice?
No. Like if you
Wait,
come
you
to
don't
our
drink
house,
juice?
if you come to our house, we
You
have milk,
don't-
tea, and water.
No,
That's
no,
it.
stop.
I love
When you
juice.
say you don't drink juice,
like orange
like
juice,
apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice, grape juice,
I hate grape juice.
do you take communion?
I do, and I
Oh
take
my
it
gosh,
like
we
a
have a
shot.
member of this church who's not. What do? Do you just pour it out on the carpet?
I
Like, what
go-
do you do here?
I take it back. I'm like,
Take and drink and pour it out? Is that what
no,
you do?
I take it, and I have tried to get my husband to drink it before. I'm like, can you please drink it for me? I hate grape juice. He's like, no, you're gonna drink
He
it.
said no. 1
Yes.
Corinthians 11. No, no,
And so I'm
no.
just like, ugh. So I just take it like a shot.
Really?
I'm gonna
essentially. I
pay
just drink
attention
it.
next time at communion.
When do we
You're-
do it
Absolutely.
next?
I'm about to do
We're
communion
taking
with
we're
y'all.
taking communion in 3 weeks. You're doing it at my table,
Okay,
100%.
I will come to your
And
table.
I'm gonna
come
make a
join y'all.
point about how it says
We're just
each
gonna
of you.
all stare.
Oh my
Pastor's just
goodness
gonna be like,
gracious!
Anna, you're gonna take your communion? Yes.
You don't
I
like
won't
juice.
like it.
This is the craziest thing I've
Okay,
heard
it's
today.
not that I don't like certain juices.
That's
I
exactly
just
what
don't
she just
drink.
said.
I don't drink them like. I just don't buy them to drink at our house.
All right,
in
now
our
look,
house,
grapefruit.
home.
Ooh, that's a lot. Yeah, that's tough.
Like if I drink some like orange juice, that's like really the only. If I were to get it like from a restaurant.
Okay, so
I
I'm the
don't
only
know,
one that
I'm
likes the
not a
cranberry,
juice-
the cranberry
yeah,
sauce.
No
Yes.
cranberry sauce for me. Sorry.
Man,
You're
okay.
on your own. That
No.
one's gone
Okay.
forever.
All right. The best Thanksgiving food is the same as every day of the year, and it's steak. Steak is
I've
the best
never
food.
had
So if
steak
you
at
have it on Thanksgiving, it's still the best
Until
food.
I started dating Jeff, I did not know steak could be had like on things. I'd never heard
I'm
that
missing
before.
out.
I'd never heard about that before.
I want steak at my next.
It was
next
fantastic.
Thanksgiving.
Steak is
It's
steak
Okay,
is
fantastic.
what are some others though?
steak is the best food, by the way.
But what are some others that you don't?
Well,
could
you-
be gone,
you got-
banished forever.
You got green bean casserole. That's gone. I don't need dressing ever again.
I like it because my mom makes it. Okay, what about deviled
That
eggs?
just sounds like
Absolutely
no.
not.
Listen, let me talk to you about this. My wife apparently makes good deviled eggs. I don't think that's possible.
Do you not like deviled eggs?
No.
Oh, because
Why do I
mayonnaise?
want my eggs cold?
Well, because
No,
you
no,
don't like
no,
mayonnaise.
no. It's not about that.
Oh,
If
it's
you,
not about
why do I want my eggs cold? Hey, let's cook this. We'll make it hot. It looks good. Let's let it cool off and put it in the fridge with mustard. Like, what is this? Like, why don't want to eat this cold? And then you can't warm it back up.
I never liked deviled eggs growing up until like a couple of years ago, and I'm like, dang, these are actually pretty good.
I also
but
don't
I
understand the name.
I only
but
eat
anyway.
my mom's. But anyway,
I've never liked deviled eggs. The smell of them. Eggs
Rachel
in
loves
general-
those things.
Eggs just smell so disgusting.
well, they
to
smell
me.
like farts.
Yeah,
That's why I
eggs-
nicknamed my son
All
Egg.
right, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
That's why you nicknamed them.
I did.
See, I love
I
eggs.
call him Egg when he says really.
I love making omelets. I love fried eggs. I like them runny if I have toast, instead
Oh,
of
so
biscuits.
fried up.
salt,
Oh,
pepper.
yeah.
You
Oh.
like your whites
I
crusty.
love
Mm.
having a runny egg on top of my ramen, like a soft boiled egg.
Well,
Mm,
I don't eat ramen unless
it's
I
from.
have a cup noodle thing.
Nah, man, you're missing out.
You're missing out.
We need to go. Okay, but what's
Why
one
would
more.
you? No, I want to hear this out.
What
I ate those
top ramen?
when I didn't have a lot of money and I
Mhm.
was trying to just get some food in me.
But
So
your
I
like
bought those
sodium
little
was
bricks.
through the
bricks
roof.
and I bought those cups that
Yeah.
the broth. Just
Have
drink
you-
it like coffee.
Have you ever looked
I
at
have this
sodium?
really good.
Why
brand
would
of
I do that now?
No,
There's better
no.
versions of ramen.
Like
There's
if you
the actual,
go,
like,
if you go to a legitimate like
flame
restaurant,
ramen. There's
yeah.
one in like Midtown. It's so good.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of pumpkin pie for me. That could go. I would.
Oh,
Oh,
pumpkin pie
oh.
can go away.
Okay,
Pumpkin
well,
pie.
let's
Absolutely.
calm down a little bit, y'all. Listen, calm down. Let's
No.
make this clear.
Absolutely.
Pumpkin pie is
Trash.
it's okay.
Complete.
It's
but
okay.
but
Throw
why
it
have
out.
it if it's okay?
It's only if there's
For you.
another option. Don't
I
misunderstand.
will
me.
not.
There's-
I will just go without dessert if it's just pumpkin
I would
pie
still
left.
choose most cake, pumpkin pie over most cakes.
Okay, what about pecan pie?
Pecan pie's good,
Chocolate pecan pie is also pretty good.
Char, the one that Char
Yes.
makes.
but guys, that doesn't compare to
Delicious.
like cherry pie, key lime pie. Who just
I'm sorry.
Dalton? Come take the thing.
sorry. It was my
I didn't say
fault.
lemon meringue. I said key lime.
I like
No,
key
key
lime.
lime I like. It's cherry. I don't like
Oh,
candy cherries.
cherry?
Yeah, I hate candy like cherries. I like maraschino cherries.
I
They're so
love
disgusting.
maraschino
I
Are
like
those the
fresh-
Sonic ones?
Fresh
Yes.
cherries are fine,
Love
but maraschino
maraschino
ones
cherries.
are disgusting.
I love those.
Okay, but those are not what's in cherry pie.
Pretty close.
Oh, if you get like the jarred
Yeah,
fillings,
if you get
it's
the jar
syrup.
filling.
Who cares?
Okay.
It's good.
Is it, do you pronounce it syrup or syrup?
Let me think. Now you got me. All right.
I think it's a.
You
you
pronounce it
talking
here.
to?
Here's how you pronounce it. Honey. That's how you pronounce it. That's what you put on
Syrup or
waffles
syrup?
and pancakes.
If I'm talking to my
It's
dad,
maple syrup.
If I'm talking to Miss
Syrup,
Sandra,
syrup.
syrup.
So- hey, y'all, listen. We started a Spanish class here at Whitman, and I would give almost anything to have Miss Sandra come.
Oh my god.
Now, let me explain to you viewers who Miss
Hola,
Sandra is.
y'all.
Como
Let me
te
explain.
llamo?
For those of you who don't know, let me teach y'all something about
Miss
American
Sandra, I love
geography. Anyone who's from a town of less than 50,000 people will pronounce all words that end in OW as if they end in an A. The thing that you open to let air in your house is called a
Window.
window. Thank you. The thing that you lay your head on at night is called a.
Pillow.
Okay, see, this is straightforward. You answer the phone with a color.
Yellow.
Thank you. So I would
Yellow.
love for her to come to Spanish class, and I'm going to tell her that she's on the podcast this week because I just imagine her. You okay?
I just picture Miss Sandra.
Isn't it great? And it would be solely for my entertainment, right? That's what I want.
I love Miss Sandra.
Okay, Thanksgiving foods. Did we cover them? Cranberry sauce stays because I have the microphone. I can say
You're
what I
the
want.
only
Number one.
person in here.
Yeah.
No, that's not how democracy
Okay, fine,
works.
fine. If I have
Gone.
to get rid of my cranberry
If
sauce,
dressing goes, then cranberry
Yes.
sauce has to
yeah,
go.
but one of those are actually good. But okay,
Ah.
we'll move that. All right, Dalton. Is there anything else that needs to be removed? Lowell,
Anybody? Okay. You guys are.
you're good with all the rest. Okay. Does everyone in here like greens? I like greens.
Yeah, I like greens.
No,
Yeah.
those could go. We never have those at our Thanksgiving though, so.
Okay, I like greens.
I like greens.
All right, fine. But I just want to make sure this is clear. Just be clear. Pie over cake. Everyone's in agreement.
Pie over cake, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
All right, then we're good. There was only one counter argument I wanted to add to it. One of the cake guys tried to argue that donuts are on their side.
Cake
Now,
donut.
if they are, that makes this a little more difficult. Okay, so let's think for a minute. Are donuts on their side?
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay,
I
that
don't know,
makes
because
this more
they have,
difficult,
because
guys.
they have yeast in it.
Is that the qualification? You kidding me?
I don't think.
Yeah,
our cakes-
because cakes don't have
So
yeast
now
in
rolls are on their side too. Dinner rolls.
it. That's a different category.
Okay,
I'm saying they're not even in the category.
tech
So
guys.
is a donut a
This is our
Unless
last
you
thing, and we
have
can
a
cut the
cake
cameras off
donut.
after this one. If donuts go to the
You
cake
do
side,
have cake donuts,
does it change your vote?
old-fashions.
no?
Cake donut is a subcategory of donut.
Yeah,
Yes.
old fashions. Yeah.
But would not jelly filled be in the pie category because there's fruit in it?
no.
Okay, I'll try.
But jelly ones are
I'll
good.
try.
We can save this one for next week.
All right, we'll get it. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, you said what? Oh,
yeah, all the
Nick
YouTube
wants me to
stuff.
say, don't edit that. Nick wants me to say, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't share this video, then you're a cake lover, not a pie lover. I mean, it's just that simple. Share the video. Do it now. It's a little arrow, and it's like going this way. Press it, and then hit public. Is that how you do it?
Or hit copy.
Like,
link,
comment,
or
subscribe, do all
whatever.
that stuff. Guys,
Do it.
give us
Figure
more
it out.
topics. Put it in the comment section. You can email us at listenpointtakenpodcast
At gmail.com.
at gmail.com. And,
So close.
yeah, there's that. So as Hunter always says, and deuces.
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 Hunter's gonna be so disappointed.
So many bloopers.